Imagine this. Let's step into a time machine and travel back to the 1950s, into a typical middle-class home. What do you see? A small black and white television, the screen perhaps flickering with static. To change the channel, you have to walk up and turn the dial with a satisfying clunk, clunk. In the corner, an electric fan whirs and creaks as it oscillates, trying its best to dispel the summer heat. In that era, there was no internet, no smartphones. Calling a distant relative meant going through a switchboard operator, the connection crackling with noise. As for traveling abroad, for the vast majority, it was the stuff of fantasy. All right, now let's hit the fast-forward button and return to today. The phone in your pocket has more computing power than all of NASA's computers combined that sent astronauts to the moon. With a tap on a screen, cuisine from around the world can be delivered to your door in under half an hour. We can watch any movie we want on high-definition screens at a moment's notice and control the air conditioning with our voice. We can buy a plane ticket and, in half a day, be on the other side of the world, experiencing a different culture. Logically, with all of this, our happiness levels should be off the charts, right? Our lives are immeasurably more convenient, affluent, and exciting than our grandparents' generation. Our happiness index should be several times higher than theirs. But is that really the case? A vast body of psychological research and public opinion polls points to a deeply unsettling answer. It's not. Over the past few decades, despite a phenomenal leap in our material standard of living, self-reported happiness levels across the globe have largely stagnated. In some of the wealthiest nations, they have even declined. That's strange, isn't it? We have more than ever before, yet we don't seem to be any happier. It's as if we're all furiously pedaling a bicycle called progress, sweating and straining, only to realize we're just spinning our wheels in place. What on earth has gone wrong? If you've ever had a similar feeling that your life is objectively good, but deep down something is missing, then this is for you. That bicycle spinning in place we just mentioned, the behind-the-scenes culprit that makes us feel that no matter how much we have, it's never enough, has a very fitting name in psychology. Hedonic adaptation. I know, it sounds a bit academic and clunky. That's why psychologists gave it a cooler, more widely known nickname, the hedonic treadmill. Imagine a treadmill at the gym. You set a speed and start running. To challenge yourself, you increase the speed and you run faster. But what's the result? You're still on the same 1 square meter patch of the machine. Your effort keeps you from falling behind, but it doesn't move you forward. The hedonic treadmill works exactly the same way. When something good happens in our lives, say, you buy a new car or get a promotion and a raise, your happiness spikes. You feel like you're on top of the world. But very quickly, this psychological treadmill automatically speeds up. Before long, your happiness level gradually returns to its original baseline. That new car goes from a dream ride to just daily transport. That new salary goes from a huge sum to what I'm supposed to earn each month. Your standard of living has indeed moved forward, but your level of happiness has been reset to its starting point. You might say that's an exaggeration. Well, let's look at one of the most extreme examples. Many people fantasize that if they won the lottery, all their troubles would disappear, and they'd be happy for the rest of their lives. Right? In the 1,970 seconds, a group of psychologists studied this very question. They found several major lottery winners who had been transformed from ordinary people into millionaires overnight. At the same time, they studied another group, people who had tragically become paraplegic due to accidents. The results shocked everyone. In the immediate aftermath, the lottery winners' happiness did indeed skyrocket, while the accident victims plunged into the depths of despair. But miraculously, just 1 year later, the lottery winners' happiness had fallen back to a level comparable to that of ordinary people. They even began to stress about managing their vast wealth and dealing with all the friends and relatives who had suddenly appeared. Meanwhile, the accident victims, though their journey was incredibly difficult, saw their happiness bounce back from rock bottom. They began to find new meaning and joy in their new lives. This study reveals a harsh truth. Whether it's the best thing in the world or the worst, our psychological treadmill has a powerful ability to pull our happiness back to a fixed factory setting. You don't even need to think about something as distant as winning the lottery. Just think back. How long did the excitement from your last new phone last? A week? A month? How long did the satisfaction from your promotion last year stick around? Was it not long before you started thinking, this salary is barely enough to get by in New York, and began looking forward to the next promotion? Sounds familiar, doesn't it? This is the spell the hedonic treadmill casts on every one of us. It's like a happiness thermostat built into our brains. No matter how the external temperature changes, it desperately tries to adjust our internal temperature back to that neutral, neither good nor bad 26 degrees Celsius. From an evolutionary perspective, this mechanism is very useful. It prevents us from being permanently crushed by setbacks and keeps us from becoming complacent and ceasing to strive after success. But in modern society, it has also become an invisible thief of our happiness. It traps us in a vicious cycle of pursue is greater than attain, is greater than adapt, is greater than pursue more. So, here's the question. If this hedonic treadmill is our brain's innate factory setting, are we doomed to run on it, panting and breathless, forever? Is there truly no way to genuinely and sustainably increase our happiness? Of course there is. To break this spell, we don't need more advanced technology. Instead, we need to go back in time and consult a group of ancient Romans. They saw through all of this 2,000 years ago. Around 2 millennia ago, during the height of the Roman Empire, a group of people saw this with perfect clarity. They came to be known as the Stoics. Now, I know when you hear the word philosopher, you might picture an old man with a white beard, perpetually frowning as he ponders questions like, where do we come from and where are we going? Stop right there. The Stoics were nothing like that. They weren't scholars hidden away in ivory towers. On the contrary, they were some of the most worldly and engaged people in Roman society. Among them were decorated generals, fabulously wealthy merchants, and even an emperor of the entire Roman Empire, Marcus Aurelius. But today, I want to introduce you to one of the most compelling and paradoxical Stoic masters. His name was Seneca. Seneca was the ultimate Roman multi-hyphenate. He was a leading playwright, a powerful statesman, and a tutor to the infamous Emperor Nero. Most importantly, he was immensely rich. How rich? He was one of the wealthiest men in the entire Roman Empire, owning countless estates and villas. This is where it gets interesting. A man at the pinnacle of wealth and power should be the one running fastest on the hedonic treadmill, right? Yet, in his writings and letters, he repeatedly warned his friends with advice that seemed completely at odds with his status. He would say, true wealth is not in how full your purse is, but in how few your desires are. He would also say, if a person's mind is not prepared to find its own peace, traveling the world will only make them more weary. Isn't that strange? A billionaire teaching people how to be content with less. Many at the time called him a hypocrite, accusing him of preaching one thing and doing another. But this is precisely where we misunderstand Stoicism. The core wisdom of Stoicism was never about abandoning wealth, renouncing pleasure, or living as a hermit in the mountains. No, they enjoyed fine wine and participated in politics. Their central idea can be summarized in one very simple sentence. Clearly distinguish between what you can control and what you cannot. Then, pour all your energy into the things you can control. This is their antidote. You see, your wealth, your reputation, whether other people like you, even your health, These are things you cannot completely control. A market crash could wipe out your fortune overnight. Baseless slander could ruin your name. But there is one thing you can always control 100% of the time: your thoughts, your judgments, and your reactions to what happens. The reason Seneca could remain so clear-headed while surrounded by immense wealth was that he treated it as an external. He enjoyed it and used it, but he never anchored his happiness to it. He made a mental separation. It was as if he were saying, "Wealth, while you are here, I will treat you well. But if one day you must leave, I will wave goodbye to you gracefully, for my inner self never truly belonged to you." With that one move, he cut the power to the hedonic treadmill. Remember the treadmill? Why can't we stop? Because we are always trying to control external conditions. We cannot control a higher salary, a bigger house, more praise. We have handed the remote control for our happiness to these uncontrollable factors. The wisdom of the Stoics is about snatching that remote control firmly back from the hands of fate. They teach us that happiness doesn't come from getting more, but from making good use of what you already have. Happiness is not a state, but a skill. It's the ability to maintain inner peace and rationality under any circumstances. This is the answer we've been looking for. Feeling happiness within your happiness is about learning to shift your focus from external possessions to internal perception. All right, ancient wisdom always sounds profound. But the question is, here in 2025, how do we apply this 2,000-year-old wisdom to our daily lives of scrolling phones, rushing for the subway, and answering emails? Don't worry, what follows is the most practical part of this entire discussion. I'm going to give you 3 mental muscle training tools, distilled from Stoic wisdom, that you can start using immediately. Get your brain ready. It's time to start lifting. We've identified the problem, the hedonic treadmill, and the theoretical cure, Stoicism. Now, we need to move from knowing to doing. It's like fitness. You can't build muscle just by watching tutorials. You have to pick up the weights yourself. These next 3 tools are 3 workout routines tailored for the happiness perception muscles in your brain. They are incredibly simple, but exceptionally powerful. Ready? Let's begin the first set. Tool 1. Negative visualization. The name of the first tool might sound a bit alarming. Negative visualization. I know what you're thinking. Wait a minute. Aren't we constantly told to think positively? To have good vibes? Why are you telling me to think about the worst? Don't misunderstand. This is absolutely not about turning you into a pessimist who sighs all day. On the contrary, negative visualization is the most powerful and counterintuitive weapon you can use to cultivate gratitude. The method is very simple. Every day, spend a few minutes imagining losing some of the things you currently possess. Not the things you desire but don't yet have, but the things you already have, things you've likely grown accustomed to. Let's try a small experiment. Start with something simple. Imagine that tomorrow morning, you walk into the kitchen, bleary-eyed, ready to make your usual cup of coffee to start the day. But when you press the button, your familiar coffee machine shows no sign of life. It's broken, completely dead. This morning, you won't be having that life-saving cup of coffee. Wouldn't you feel a flicker of annoyance and disappointment? But in that very instant, you would also have a sudden realization. On every other normal morning, the ability to effortlessly enjoy a hot, aromatic cup of coffee was in itself something to be thankful for, a moment of happiness. See? Merely by briefly imagining its loss, you have regained your appreciation for it. You haven't spent a single cent, but the value of that ordinary cup of coffee has instantly doubled in your mind. This is the magic of negative visualization. It effectively counteracts the numbness brought on by hedonic adaptation. Our hedonic treadmill operates because we get used to what we have far too quickly, taking it all for granted. Your job, your home, your healthy body, even the family and friends around you, we rarely stop to think what our lives would be like without them. So, let's level up this exercise. When you're stuck in traffic and complaining, spend 10 seconds imagining what it would feel like if you didn't even have this car to shelter you from the rain, and instead had to wait for a bus that might never come. When you're snapping at your partner over a small work issue, spend 10 seconds imagining if this person had never entered your life and you came home to an empty room. How would that feel? When you feel like your world is ending because of a minor illness, spend 10 seconds thinking about those who are truly suffering from chronic pain yet continue to live with courage. How precious is the gift of health you currently possess, the ability to breathe freely and walk at will. Seneca practiced this regularly. Before going to sleep, he would imagine losing all his wealth, his status, and his family, becoming a destitute wanderer. He said he did this not to torture himself, but to remind himself, everything I have now is neither permanent nor guaranteed. Therefore, when I wake up the next day and find it all still there, I will see it with new, grateful eyes. This is the first step off the hedonic treadmill. Stop chasing more on the outside and learn to look inward to rediscover the treasures you already possess. Tool 2. The dichotomy of control. The second tool sounds a bit more academic. The dichotomy of control. Dichotomy simply means to divide into two. This tool asks you, whenever you encounter anything that upsets you, to first make a clean mental cut, like slicing a cake into two distinct halves. One half, things I have complete control over. The other half, things I have no control over, or only partial control over. The core of Stoic wisdom lies here. Focus 100% of your emotional energy on the slice of the cake you can completely control. As for the other slice, the one you can't control, learn to shrug your shoulders and gracefully let it go. Let me give you a scenario you've definitely experienced. A traffic jam. You're stuck on your way to work, not moving an inch. You're about to be late, and you can feel your heart pounding and your blood pressure rising. You start honking your horn furiously, cursing the driver in front, the terrible city planning, even the city itself. Now, let's analyze this using the dichotomy of control. In this traffic jam situation, what is in the no control slice? Clearly, the traffic ahead, the skill of other drivers, the timing of the traffic lights, the design of the road. You can't control any of it. Honking your horn until it breaks won't make the cars in front of you fly. So, what is in the complete control slice? A few things. Your opinion about the traffic jam, the emotion you choose to respond with, and what you decide to do with this time. You see, once you separate these two, the solution becomes immediately clear. Since you can't control the traffic, getting angry and yelling at it only serves one purpose: punishing your own mental and physical health for a problem caused by others. It's a guaranteed losing trade. What would someone practicing the dichotomy of control do? They would first take a deep breath and accept the reality: I am stuck. Then, they would shift their focus to the part they can control. They might think, okay, since I can't move, getting angry is useless. I can use this time to listen to that podcast I've been meaning to hear. Or maybe I'll call a client to sort something out. Or I could just relax and enjoy the music on the radio. What's the outcome? Both people are stuck in the same traffic jam. The first person gets a cocktail of rage, stress, and a potential late penalty. The second person, however, transforms that wasted time into a moment that is useful, productive, or even peaceful. This is the power of the dichotomy of control. It's not about self-deception. It is a form of radical pragmatism. It stops you from wasting even a single drop of emotional energy on things you cannot change. Extend this mindset to all aspects of your life. You can't control someone's negative opinion of you, but you can control whether you let that opinion define your self-worth. You can't control your boss's bad mood today, but you can control whether you let it make you anxious and affect the quality of your own work. You can't fully control the audience's final reaction to your big presentation, but you can control how thoroughly you prepare and how confidently you present yourself on stage. The world is full of chaos and uncertainty. The dichotomy of control is the eye of the storm you create for yourself, that core of absolute calm that is always under your command. Tool 3. Amor Fati. Love your fate. Now we arrive at our final and most advanced training set. If the first two tools were defensive, helping us to not get hurt easily, this last tool is offensive. It teaches us how to transform life's heaviest blows into our most unique medals of honor. Are you ready for the challenge? This most powerful tool is Amor Fati. It comes from Latin and translates to a love of one's fate. Please note, the word used here isn't accept your fate, nor is it tolerate your fate. It is love. This means that no matter what happens, good or bad, success or disaster, you don't just accept it. You embrace it with all your heart, viewing it as an indispensable, even perfect, part of your life. I know, this sounds almost inhuman. When we face layoffs, breakups, or illness, our instinctive reaction is to hate it, to curse it. How could anyone possibly love it? You are welcome to remain skeptical until I tell you a true story. The protagonist of this story is Paul Wittgenstein. Yes, he was the brother of the great philosopher Ludwig Wittgenstein. Paul was born into an incredibly wealthy Viennese family at the turn of the 20th century. He was a prodigiously talented concert pianist with a brilliant future. Then, World War I broke out. Paul went to the front, and tragedy struck. He was shot in the right arm, and the injury was so severe that the arm had to be amputated. Imagine the scene. A pianist, whose hands were his life, permanently losing his right arm. This didn't just end his career, it threatened to destroy his very soul. A cruel fate, wouldn't you agree? Any one of us might have spent the rest of our lives drowning in despair and self-pity. But Paul did not. After recovering from his injury, he made a decision that shocked everyone. He did not give up the piano. He said to himself, "If I cannot play with two hands, then I will become the greatest one-armed pianist in the world." This is the astounding power of Amor Fati. He didn't ask, "Why did this terrible fate befall me?" He asked, "Since this is my fate, how can I love it and use it?" What he did was crazier than anyone could have imagined. He used his family's considerable fortune to commission the world's leading composers of the time, figures like Ravel, Prokofiev, and Richard Strauss, to write brand new piano concertos specifically for him, for his left hand. And so, an unprecedented repertoire of piano music, composed exclusively for the left hand, was born. Paul Wittgenstein, the one-armed pianist, not only returned to the stage but pioneered an entirely new musical field. His empty right sleeve and his dancing left hand became his unique, inimitable signature in the annals of music history. He turned the heaviest curse fate had dealt him into his most glorious and exclusive crown. Do you understand Amor Fati now? It is not passive resignation. It is an act of radical, active creation. It invites us to see every stumble in life as a unique dance move. You can apply this thinking to your own life. That project you messed up got you yelled at by your boss. But perhaps that failure was the very thing that made you finally understand a business blind spot you'd never noticed. You should love that failure. That heartbreaking relationship left you in agony. But perhaps that experience was what taught you how to be independent and to understand love more deeply. You should love that experience. That promotion you didn't get felt unfair, but perhaps being passed over gave you the chance to re-evaluate your career path, ultimately leading you to one that was a much better fit. You should love that missed opportunity. Amor Fati. Love your fate. It transforms us from passive victims into active creators. It helps us understand that life's most precious nutrients often come not from the sun and rain, but from the storms we once desperately tried to escape. We have now completed our 3 core training sets. We have strengthened our muscle of gratitude, found our core of calm, and learned the power of transformation. Now, let's return with this new equipment to where our story began, to that modern person standing before a window, feeling empty and lost. Let's see how everything changes once they have mastered these tools. We have reached the end of our journey. All the puzzles have been solved, and all the tools have been delivered. It's time to return to our starting point and close the loop. Remember the paradox we started with? We live in a world with material conditions thousands of times better than the 1,950 seconds, with instant communication, global travel, and endless entertainment. Yet our hearts are no happier. By understanding how to use these 3 tools to capture the happiness that was already around you, you can still live in this fast-paced modern world, but you are no longer a passive experiencer. You are an active perceiver. On an ordinary morning, as you make yourself a cup of coffee, the practice of negative visualization will make you feel a moment of sincere gratitude for its simple warmth and aroma, because you know it is not a given. In that moment, you experience meta-happiness. When you're stuck in traffic again, about to be late, the practice of the dichotomy of control will allow you to turn off the anxiety, turn up the music, and calmly accept the reality you cannot change, reclaiming that time for yourself. In that moment, you defeat the hedonic treadmill. And when you truly face a major setback in life, a failure, a loss, a departure, the wisdom of Amor Fati will help you see a glimmer of possibility within the great pain. You will ask yourself, if this scene is a required part of my script, what is it trying to teach me? How can I turn this into my unique strength? In that moment, you seize true ownership of your happiness. Do you see? Nothing in the external world has changed. The car is the same, the job is the same, and life's mix of sweet and bitter remains. What has changed is your relationship with the world. What has changed is the internal operating system through which you experience it all. This is the core idea we wanted to convey: to feel happiness within your happiness that is true happiness. True happiness was never an external goal for us to chase. It is not a higher position, a larger bank account, or a perfect relationship. It is a skill that can be practiced and mastered. It is an internal technique of how to see and how to perceive. It is an inner peace that allows you to hear your own voice, even in the midst of chaos. It is a profound gratitude that makes you feel richer than a king, even if you have nothing. It is a powerful resilience that allows you to turn adversity into a stepping stone for progress. Our generation has more reasons to be happy than any before in history. Now is the time to learn the skill of feeling happy. I hope this journey has given you the instruction manual for turning off your hedonic treadmill and provided a few useful tools for forging your own ability to perceive happiness. Because the real winner is not the person who wins the game, but the one who learns to love every card in their hand and enjoys the game itself. Thank you for your time. I'm your friend, in thought. We'll meet again next time. Good night, my friend.